I hear there's Mufasa at 1:30. Are you going to that?
No, I saw it yesterday. Went home, came back down for the 70 mil yesterday.
Oh, nice.
And then I have this, going back, and then I'm going back to the Lightbox after.
Oh, cool. All right, you guys all set?
A Mufasa Brutalist double feature.
Yeah, that was me yesterday. Pretty crazy.
Mufafalist?
The Mufafalist. So, congrats on this movie. I've seen over 120 movies this year, and this is the best one I've seen by a long shot. Like, it's incredible. It's an epic 3 hours and 30 minutes, and I love that. And because it's 3 hours and 30 minutes, I have to ask you, as a director, you obviously work on this film from start to finish, how many times have you seen The Brutalist?
That is a very good question. I definitely learned my lesson. I got a real dose of my own medicine, because this film is coming out in IMAX, 35 millimeter, 70 millimeter, and each one of those prints I've had to supervise from start to finish. And so I think I've seen this film many more times from start to finish than I have my previous films. I mean, I probably realistically about 60 or 70 times. It is insane. It took 2 years of post-production to finish it. A color timing session would normally be about 10 days. On this film, it was 40 days. Wow. So it was a lot of spending time in my own company. Yeah. So
how was that? Did you like that?
Well, I mean, it's yes and no. I mean, I was away from my family a lot when I was making this film, which was quite challenging for me, just because my daughter is at an age where she really notices when I'm not around. But for a variety of reasons that affected the financing, we had to do all of our post-production abroad. And I worked with extraordinary people and worked in great facilities, but the compromise was that I was away from home for like 2.5 years.
Yeah, that's insane. I don't know how anyone could do that. This movie is a literal work of art. I think The Brutalist is one of those movies where you can pause at any point in the movie and that frame is just beautiful on its own. Like one of my favorite shots in the movie is Alessandro Nivola when he's just like completely in the shadows talking to Laszlo, or like Laszlo with like the sparks flying. There's a very beautiful shots, like pause any time and it's beautiful. For you, since you've seen this movie, like you said, you think 60 or 70 times, what do you think the defining shot of The Brutalist is?
It's a really, really great question. I mean, I would say that my personal favorite is the image of Alessandro and Adrian that's been in circulation, the two of them hugging in front of the bus. It's because you're really seeing VistaVision in all its glory there, because the camera is physically very, very close to them, but there still is plenty of negative space, and you're able to see the bus from from the bottom to the top, and it's this very unusual frame that for me is something that you really can only achieve with VistaVision.
Yeah. And just to follow up on that, could you tell me a little bit more about VistaVision? Because I was very surprised to see that in the opening of the movie the first time I saw it, and it looks beautiful, obviously on 70 mil. How long have you been wanting to work with this format, and could you tell me a bit about what that was like?
The cameras were engineered in the 1950s. So for a film that's predominantly set in the 1950s, it was a sort of natural choice to help evoke the period and transport viewers to 1947 to 1960. And I'd wanted to work on large formats for a long time, and actually VistaVision is the most approachable because you don't need to have large format film manufactured. You use regular 35 millimeter stock, but instead of it being pulled through the gate vertically like this, it pulls horizontally. So you're using 8 perforations as opposed to the traditional 3 or 4, which is the reason that the quality of the image is about 2.2 times higher resolution than a traditional 35 millimeter movie. And seeing it on 70 millimeter is the only way to see the film not down-resed, because the 35 millimeter print is gorgeous, but it is at a lower resolution than the footage we shot.
Yeah, 70 mil looks beautiful. And just my last question, I love how this movie spans, 40 years, and it shows this community center getting built. And one of the things I found interesting is the community center kept getting delayed a lot, and it was only done eventually much later on between the second act and the epilogue. And it kind of parallels how long it took this movie to get made. It was first announced like a couple years before the pandemic.
Sure.
You went through a lot of casts, and it kind of reflects the same journey you took. So I'm curious, if someone were to make a movie about your journey towards making The Brutalist, who would you want that director to be?
Oh, to tell you the truth, making movies is rarely like Burden of Dreams. Like it's usually like spending a long day doing jury duty or like stuck at the DMV. It's a lot. It's very administrative actually, and I think part of the reason that I decided to make a film about an architect versus a filmmaker is that it's a slightly more cinematic profession.
It is.
In my opinion, but I don't know. I mean, whoever that would be, they probably haven't made anything yet.
No. And that would be great. I just want to say thank you so much again for taking the time to talk to me. Seriously, this movie's the best thing I've seen all year. I want it to win everything.
Oh, I really appreciate that.
I cannot wait to see what you do next.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.